on the side over here? Like you can sit in that chair but move up. Yeah. Let's make sure we're actually feeling and looking like a good audience. Cole, you could come right up here at the end of one of these rows. That would be great.
Yeah, there's lots of empty seats.
And sit on the bench.
Yeah, you
Thank
closer,
you,
please.
ladies.
Are you doing the recording?
Yes.
Okay. Corbin, can you move up forward, please? If you can move up to one of the seats, please. Thank you. Keep on over, Linda. I don't think you need to reserve. So this whole first row is empty, everyone.
Come on up. Come on up.
Good. You don't need to get things wrong.
You like can come sit on the bench here. Oh, thank you, guys. Support me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second senior project presentation of this year. Today we have the pleasure of hearing from Veronica G. She's been a student here since she was in 7th grade, and during those 6 years has created some really beautiful artwork. And it has been an amazing process to watch her grow as a student and in her art. You'll get to see some flashbacks from the past in her presentation today and get to see some of her most recent work in her senior project presentation about graphic design. Here's Veronica G.
Welcome to Bass Finds. Bass Finds is a clothing brand for anyone and everyone who chooses to stay spontaneous. Because you can live a purposeful life while keeping the adventurous side of you fulfilled. So make sure to discover the world and wear Bass Finds while doing it to make your experiences even better. Here to show you how to style Bass Finds, we have Ashley, wearing a cropped tank from the Egypt collection. This is the perfect piece to go out in during summer. But if you want to stay warm like the Egyptian deserts, this piece is also available in hoodies. Now we have Satya, wearing a staple item featuring the original logo of Bass Finds. These finds can tie together some of the most stylish outfits. With whatever kind of shirt you choose, this piece will make the cut. Check out the school store if you want to buy Bass Finds for yourself. It could be the perfect thing to add to your summer wardrobe or to help you stock up on warm school clothes for next year. Just remember, you can have fun and be spontaneous with Bass Finds on your way to becoming purposeful adults. Let's thank our models, Ashley and Satya. So, my clothing brand, Bass Finds, ended up with being what came out of my senior project. And there's a few reasons why I decided to create Bass Finds. I've known for a long time that I wanted my purpose in the career world to be something creative. And in 10th grade, I decided I specifically wanted to be a graphic designer because it seemed like a fun as well as a realistic career option. So I decided to do my senior project on graphic design, and I wanted to come up with my own theoretical brand to test out graphic design on by making things such as logos and clothing. My dad suggested I make the brand a clothing brand, and I thought that was perfect because I'm also interested in fashion. To create my own fashion pieces, I looked at my own style as well as designs of several other companies. For me, I like to take inspiration from the places I like to get clothes from. I get my clothing from a variety of places such as online, the mall, and thrifting, but my favorite place is Zumiez. Zumiez is a store you've likely heard of or maybe even bought stuff from that you can find online or at the mall. On the average day, I'm probably wearing at least one thing from Zumiez, whether it be my pants, shirt, or even my socks. So let's talk about why Zumiez does so well and why it's such an inspiration to me. Zumiez sells a great variety of clothing and sporting goods, all designed to fit into the same skate shop / skater style demographic. Although whether you skate or not, Zumiez can be a great place to shop if you like the style. Personally, I've done a little skating and I'm not very good at it, but I still feel welcomed there. Zumiez' motto is organized chaos, which is meant for teenagers to be able to relate to. This is one of the reasons that as far as stores within this style go, Zumiez definitely knows their demographic. Another reason is that there's even been some Zoomy stores that had enough space to have things like couches and video game spaces set up to encourage the customers who want to spend more time in store. All stores should be as inviting as Zoomies. If Fast Finds were something that I'd be continuing to work on after this project, it would include a great variety of things like Zoomies does, such as shoes, jeans, hats, and more. But since Fast Finds was more for the purpose of me gaining some digital arts and marketing skills, that's the reason I focused more on the graphic shirt and sweatshirt designs. That being said, I still want to make sure that I was well aware of the specific trends for other brands within my demographic, such as Empire, Vans, Santa Cruz, and Lurking Class, which are all brands that Zoomies carries. There were a few ways that I took in what other brands are doing. A little bit of it was reading up on it, but it was mostly just different forms of observation and collecting data. Some of the things I did were looking through the Zoomies 2023 Christmas guide, asking some of my friends with a similar style what specific things they like in clothing, and at times when I was tired or unmotivated, I would often watch YouTube videos of people with my style showing clothing that they bought or made. After a lot of thought and influence, as well as prior knowledge, I made a lot of connections of what goes into the style that I'm looking to achieve. People who wear street or skater style clothing take heavy inspiration from vintage styles, specifically Y2K and 90s. Some of the most fashionable streetwear during this era consisted of lots of baggy clothing, such as baggy jeans or cargo pants paired with a baggy graphic t-shirt. Another popular trend that now lives again is pairing tighter or shorter fitting shirts with baggier pants or bottoms. This can lead to a very unique and creative silhouette for outfits. Dark colors with occasional pops of color are commonly found in these styles and are easy to stand out. Neutral or earthy colors are often very commonly used for a calming and outdoorsy feeling. This style also often consists of specific kinds of fabric treatments to make clothing stand out, especially for jeans, but it can be seen in any kind of clothing. Some of the most commonly seen fabric treatments include acid wash and a worn look. Besides average fabric types, there are specific kinds often used within this style. Some examples of these fabrics include corduroy for mainly pants and jackets, or canvas for shoes and jackets. Durability, bagginess, and true to size fit are important to have for clothes for people who wear this style who like to skate, as well as that these things are found very fashionable within the demographic as a whole, whether the customers skate or not. The skater and street styles are well known for their unique detailing. Clothing items such as hoodies can feature any kind of crazy artwork, but some of the common themes I've noticed consist of flames, skulls, plaid, barbed wire, spiderwebs, and aliens. Even the font choices within the style of clothing are very unique. Big bold lettering as well as sharp and jagged font styles, among others, allows clothing to stand out. It's not just hoodies that can include these unique design aspects. Other items such as pants often include some of the same aspects by using big logos or even sometimes special designs all over the pants. A successful clothing line definitely has to be eye-catching, but there also has to be a proper amount of functionality and trueness to their mission, especially for a brand that sells sporting goods like Zoomies does. If streetwear clothing couldn't actually be functional for everyday life as well as for skating for those who enjoy it, then they would be misjudging their demographic. Because of the fact that clothing within the style is expected to be durable as well as unique, stores like Zoomies often mark items with a high price. Customers will often be willing to pay a lot as these things are very important and cool to them. But there has to be a balance so that prices aren't getting to be unreasonable for the target audience. Knowing what my brand style would be was pretty easy for me because I already spent a lot of time thinking about what kinds of things I want to wear. But thinking of what kind of name that would be fitting would fit the vibe was a challenge. I eventually decided on the name Vast Vines for multiple reasons. I loved drawing thorny vines for a while now, and the two V's work perfectly to also look like thorns on a vine. As I'm sure you've noticed, it's a common thing for logos to have letters work as part of the picture as well. It makes the logo seem more clever in its design. Other than just looking cool, there's a lot of other things to consider when you're coming up with a brand name or logo. Your brand name as well as your logo and anything else within your brand should be as timeless as possible, because even though you can update things, you don't want your brand to go out of style. You also want to make sure that your brand name or an overly similar logo isn't already in use, so that you can avoid legal issues and confusion. Before you finalize your brand name, know that it's a good idea to have something that is easy to remember, pronounce, and spell correctly, because you don't want people to have any trouble connecting with it. Along with a logo for people to remember your brand by, it makes a brand even better to have a mission statement. Fast Fine's mission statement is something that you may have heard me say during the fashion show, which is stay spontaneous because you can live a purposeful life while keeping the adventurous side of you fulfilled. Having a mission statement can make customers feel inspired or good about the qualities and values of your brand. Once you have a general idea of what you want all the main components of your brand to be, it's time to create a brand guide. A brand guide is a tool to help you keep all your brand ideas consistent. You can use a brand guide to help you create all and any platforms for your brand, such as social media accounts and websites, as well as maintain the overall vibe of your brand in every way possible. A brand guide should be a visual layout of everything that makes your brand unique. My brand guide is a simple one. If I were making this a more long-term brand, it would be even more detailed. But I still made sure to include some of the most important things that go into making Fast Fine's true to itself. I have my logo as well as the font that I use on my website and this presentation. A good idea for an even better brand guide for me would have been to include the full alphabet for my Fast Fine's font, because it has been used twice between my two different designs, and probably would have been used even more if I were making more designs. I also have the color for the logo, which is the same color that I used for some of the other fonts. If you type these characters next to the color into a color selector, you will get the exact color of the Fast Fine screen. The other color is just a basic black that I use for a lot of the backgrounds. I also just have some notes about the brand's mission so I can be reminded of them when I look at this. Your company should be made of people who are passionate and enthusiastic about your brand. A team of those people should work together to create a brand guide, and it should be made easy to talk about among the people who work with it. But your company can get help making a brand guide. Brands often bring in someone who is a creative thinker and specializes in branding to help generate ideas. It's very important to have the right people putting effort into the brand guide, because in the end, it should reflect what customers want or need, as well as how you want them to perceive your brand. It should show the advantages of choosing this brand over others. For Fast Fines, I've obviously done all of my own work. But in the future, when I'm a graphic designer, I'd want other brands to hire me so that I can help them with their designs. When clients are looking for a graphic design company to create something for them, they consider multiple different companies, and to get a project, a company has to win over a client. Graphic designers especially have to win over a key person in the marketing department of the client's company. Companies will come in with a portfolio of different sizes of work that they've done so that the clients can have a good idea of the variety of stuff that a company can create. Presenting a mood board with what you could create for a client is also a good approach. You want to try to find out what a client is really looking for, even if they don't quite know the answer to that themselves. Visiting the workplace of the company can help a lot to find out what they're looking for. Overall, you also need to be able to be open-minded to different designs, because often everyone has different ideas that you want to be able to respect and take into consideration, instead of only focusing on your own ideas. Especially since most brands are already existing, so you really need to be able to work with what they already have. When I went to the actual graphic design portion of this project, I already had some background knowledge because I've been drawing since I was little, using digital art programs since middle school, and I did a smaller graphic design project last year. But there were a lot of new things I wanted to learn. The biggest next step I wanted to take with my graphic design skills was starting to learn how to use Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop, since these are some of the most commonly used art programs for graphic design. My dad has a lot of past experience with Adobe since he used to be a web designer, and Mrs. Fornes also got me into contact with her Uncle Frank, who used to be a graphic designer. My dad helped me set up Adobe apps on my computer and gave me a bunch of books on graphic design, and I also had an interview with Frank. Frank started out as a graphic designer decades ago, so I was curious how graphic design had changed since then. He told me that the main processes of graphic design are changing faster and faster, because change is constantly happening in the world of technology. You used to have to place everything down manually, and people would use pen and ink, sticking down things with wax. Now it's a lot easier to be a graphic designer, especially when it comes to making mistakes, because you used to have to scratch it out with an X-Acto knife. It also used to be more expensive to scan photos, and you had to hire someone to do it for you. Other than that, Frank was able to answer a lot of questions about art and photography for my project. Near the end of the interview, he offered to come in again sometime to help with Adobe. When it was time for the production phase, I took up his offer, and we met multiple times so that he could help me through creating my logo and other artwork. The more I met with Frank, the more I was able to do on my own, and eventually, after about 2 months, I finally finished my shirt designs. When thinking about what company to have print my clothes for my brand, the first thing that I considered was a brand I used in 8th grade for a much smaller t-shirt making project. After thinking about it some more, I decided against that, because the t-shirt I made back then seemed to crack a little excessively, even though I didn't wear it many times. So I just decided not to wear it much at all. I wanted Vast Finds to be different. I wanted Vast Finds to last longer. I looked into some new places on my own and talked to Miss K and Frank about it. Both Frank and Miss K suggested some local companies. Eventually, I decided with Miss K to choose the same company that we use for the school store because they're reliable, supply a lot of different options, and I'd be able to add my clothing to the school store. I thought a lot about how I wanted my model photos to turn out. I knew for sure that I wanted there to be a great variety in how the models looked and what kind of shirts my art would be displayed on. Lucky for me, I have a great variety of people that agreed to be models for me who look a lot different from each other and happen to choose different kinds of shirts to model in. In late March, I put together an order for the company and began to wait for the clothing to show up so I could begin the photo shoot. As I waited, I was paranoid that I wouldn't get the clothing in time to have the photo shoot done in time for the non-written product deadline. Spring break went by, and after that, I found out that I needed to work on my orders more before they could print it, because they were having some trouble with some of the colors and different kinds of shirts that I wanted. I picked new colors that were easier to find for some of the shirts, but now I was even more worried that I wouldn't meet the deadline. Miss K told me that if I didn't meet it, that it was out of my control since I was waiting on the printing company. But I was still determined to try my best to at least get the photo shoot done before this presentation. While waiting for the clothing, I was able to work on a lot of other things. I especially worked on a plan for an Instagram promotional post, as well as a theoretical website for Vast Finds. Ads and websites can help to draw in customers, but social media accounts are another effective way to get even more notice, especially if you're on the right platform for the right age group and general demographic of your target audience. Since my main age group I'm trying to reach is teens and young adults, I felt Instagram would be a good place for me to post about my brand. Although no matter what form of social media you decide reaches the most of your correct audience, it's best to have an account on as many popular social media platforms as possible. So another thing I do with Vast Finds was meant to be a more long-term thing, as I'd post about it on more of a variety of social media platforms. There are many possible ways to engage possible customers and even have interactions with them. Asking your audience questions will make them more excited for a chance to interact with your brand, and it will also make you more memorable. Build a habit of when you're going to post certain things to leave people looking forward to new posts they know are coming. A lot of brands will also collaborate with other brands and influencers. This will help both you and the other brands and influencers get more notice because their fans will notice you more and vice versa. Especially collaborating with influencers or brands with a similar demographic can get you more notice from their fans. Overall, it's important to stay active in a variety of ways on a social media account. Find any creative way to gain the interest of more people. And you want to make sure to link your website in your social media to make sure that people are easily able to access your shop. The first thing I did when thinking about what to post was of course look through Instagram posts of other cool brands and stores. Some of the ones I ended up taking the most inspiration from were Lurking Class and Jacker. I also took inspiration from those as well as others for what kind of vibe to have for a caption. I found that street-style brand Instagram captions are usually short and enthusiastic. They can often include emojis and tags of collaborators. To promote any brand, you need to take photos, but I especially needed to take photos for my clothing brand so I could have some to put on my website and Instagram posts. When it comes time to take photos for any brand, you need to work with a good photographer or be able to take high quality photos by yourself. For my brand, I thought it would be fitting to have some lifestyle photos, which to clarify, are photos taken more to show aesthetic and vibe of a product rather than details. It's also important for any brand to have at least some photos where colors and details are very clear. In these photos, light should be shining directly on your product. You want to use white light bulbs to avoid any orange tint or any other color distortion on the photos. Images should not be dark or murky either. Even startup businesses like mine do not have to have a lot of expensive equipment to take good product photos. Taking pictures outside can be a good option, but avoid really sunny lighting because strong sunlight can lead to strong shadows. Unless it's just for lifestyle photos that would fit in well with the vibe of your brand. A good contrast of lifestyle and full true to color product photos are important. I focus a lot on lifestyle photos because it fit in with the theme of my brand, and the school store automatically gave me detailed style proofs. We had a work from home day in April that was supposed to have really good weather, and I wanted to do something for my senior project, but I also wanted to spend some time outside. After some thinking, I came up with the idea to scope out some areas to see if I could find specific spots around town that would be good for photos. The day before the work from home day, I spent some time looking through Google Maps to find parks to check out for photos. On the work from home day, I ended up having time to go to one park, but it was a really good one. I took multiple photos for myself to use as reference of where I would take the modeling photos. A few days later, I had a night where I was looking to get in more hours for my senior project, so I decided to scope out more parks. The first park I was going to try ended up not looking as good as the photos on Google Maps, but then I went to Peabody, which I knew would have some good spots. Even though it was a little too dark outside for what I would use for my modeling photos, I was able to get some good example photos with Ashley as my model. I got my clothing in person just a couple days before my presentation. With the little time I had, I decided to do an Instagram post just of the Egypt collection with Ashley. Once I have a chance to get together with the rest of the models, I will be posting more photos with the logo design. Once you have a brand, products, and photos, you need a website to put it all on. For my website, I just use a basic website on Google Websites. If you click the button, it will take you to the school store. There are many things to keep in mind to make a website as customer-friendly as possible. Clarity is the most important thing. Make your website all well organized by utilizing different categories so that customers have an easier time finding what they're looking for. Adding a search bar can especially help for real functioning websites. Some things that can aid customers while searching include sorting by gender, unisex is also an option, item type, color, etc. For my brand, I just have the genders under whatever they're listed as for the printing company, but I want to encourage customers to not think about that and just wear whatever they like most for my brand. For the most part, for each item of clothing, you will also want to be able to include a description of all the specification details and features of your products, such as what the products are made of. To gain even more interest in a product, include another section that speaks to the audience of the product and describes the vibe and enjoyment of the product. Along with being easy to understand, there are also other things that websites need to be well-functioning and customer-friendly. Your website should work well on a variety of devices, but mobile is the most important since that's where people tend to find brands and oftentimes purchase off their phones. I personally found that websites tend to not work as well on my phone, when that's usually where I look for stuff, and you may have found that too. You also need a return policy, and to make sure customer service is available for buyers who need assistance. In-person order pickup can be another helpful option for many customers. Allow order tracking to keep customers more comfortable with keeping posted when their order is shipping. All of these things can help people feel a lot more comfortable with buying from your company. Offers such as buying more than one thing to get a better price is a good way to get customers to spend more, along with feeling like they're getting a good deal. Rewards programs can help you get more loyal customers because they have something to look forward to once they reach the goal they need to get a reward. Aesthetics within a company or within a website are also important to keep the customer interested. Using the same couple of colors, fonts, and font sizes on your website and help give your brand more of a distinct and consistent vibe as well. Your website aesthetic should be consistent with the rest of your brand. A good example of that is on my website. I use a black background because of the fact that people within my demographic tend to like dark colors. Another piece of my senior project was preparing for college. I applied in early November and got acceptance letters a few weeks later. I've known for sure since then that I will be going to UW Oshkosh, which is my school of choice. Since fall, I've done a lot more in preparation for college, such as visiting the campus again, finding a roommate on the UW Oshkosh Class of 2028 Instagram page, and meeting with her in person to get to know each other. And I've also done a lot of other stuff such as financial aid forms. As you may expect, I still have a lot more to do in preparation for next year, but I'm glad I've already made it this far. I will of course be majoring in graphic design. I plan to someday become a work-from-home graphic designer, but I also plan on continuing to do one of my other hobbies, which is writing, and seeing if that will ever take off too. For everything I've done, I'd like to thank Frank for teaching me so much, my dad for giving me resources and tips, Ms. K for making time to help me with everything I needed whenever I asked, all my models for helping Fast Finds come alive, and all of you for listening. Now I'm ready for any questions you may have to ask. Thank you. Becca asked if you can be a model. Yes, you can. Just talk to me sometime after this and you can be a model. Phoebe? Phoebe asked advice for future seniors. I highly recommend paying very close attention to how much hours you have left for your senior project, because it's just such a big project that you mostly need to focus on it as well as like other year-long projects. So just always make sure you know how much you have left so you don't get too far behind. Oh, Adrian?
What was your favorite part about this project?
Adrian asked what my favorite part of this project was. Definitely like finally getting the clothing. I was really worried that I wouldn't get it in time, but it was really exciting to get my clothing. Becca, again.
What was the most like stressful part of the project?
Becca asked what the most stressful part of the project was. I mean, I kind of just said this, but definitely deadlines. Like, I wish I would have started the non-written products earlier, even though I did start it right when it was time for the production phase. I wish I would have just started that in the like research phase, because I just felt like I was like rushed and stressed a lot about that. Milo?
What was the inspiration behind pyramids?
Behind what?
The pyramids.
Milo asked what the inspiration behind the pyramids was, and it's because I just love Egypt so much. I don't know why. Ashley?
If you could have done any like dream like photo shoot type of thing for your brand, what would you have done?
Ashley asked what like a dream photo shoot for my brand would be. Probably like a big skate park or something, or like a big city, something like that. I don't know. Isaac?
What is one thing that what's one thing during the process that you enjoyed and really or like, and what's one thing that you wish you did differently?
Isaac asked what's one thing that I liked that I did during the process, and one thing that I wish I did differently. I mean, I've never been really that good with like getting in touch with live sources, so I was happy that I was able to have like multiple meetings with Frank. I mean, it would have been nice to get more live sources. I guess I don't really regret only having like Frank, because he was really helpful, but maybe that could have been an improvement. Milo?
How did you take notes during this project?
Milo asked how I took notes. I just like typed them into like an outline and then just eventually turned it into the essay. I just found that easier than the paper notes for me personally. Ms. Fornes?
What's like your dream graphic design job? Like, what company would you love to work for, and what would you like to do?
Ms. Fornes asked asked what my dream graphic design job would be, like what company. I don't really have a specific company. Like I said, I just kind of want to like be able to work from home and like, I don't know, just have a good like work and life balance and hopefully make good money, obviously. I don't know. Cameron?
What like made you choose the streetwear style? Did you ever consider like doing more formal wear or less formal?
Cameron asked what made me choose a streetwear style and if I ever considered anything else. I did not really consider anything else. I just immediately like knew. I guess my style does have a variety, but I end up just wearing the streetwear most. I don't know. I've just been wearing it a lot for the last few years, so it's just what I decided to do, and it worked well for like doing designs like online and stuff. Ashley?
What was the thing that you did during this project that you're most proud of?
Ashley asked what I'm most proud of for during this project. Probably this presentation. Milo?
How has this formed the way that you like view clothes? Like, when you look at things and think, oh, that's really nicely made, or something like that, affect the way.
Like affecting what?
Does it affect the way you like wear clothes or like look at clothes?
Oh, I will ask like how does this affect like the way I wear clothes and stuff. I mean, I guess like I was already thinking about it a lot before this project, but it did like have me like pinpoint exactly what goes into like this style, which I did like list a bunch of things I noticed, and there's like more things too, but I guess like I just know more like what exactly the demographic that I'm in is exactly. Tegan?
Did you research like fast fashion and sustainable fashion and like your opinions on it?
Tegan asked if I researched fast fashion and sustainable fashion, my opinions on it. I did not research fast fashion. My opinion on it is I feel like people should just wear what they like. Like it's fine if you take inspiration from social media, but I'm not really big on like people wearing something for like a few months and then just getting rid of it or just wearing whatever is the most popular. I prefer when people do unique, but it's all up to you, but that's just my opinion. Beckett?
In the future, do you ever plan on making anything else, like hats, like pants?
Beckett asked if I'll ever do any like other clothing in the future. I don't currently have plans for it, but I would be interested possibly in doing that someday. I'm not as busy like college and things like that, maybe. Ms. Kay?
You shared with us Zoomies and Vans as examples of companies that do a great job with their graphic design and their marketing. Did you come across in your research some companies that either before or now after doing research you recognize that they're not so high quality or could do a lot better job on their graphic design?
Ms. K asked if I've seen any companies that like didn't do very good with their graphic design. I haven't seen any that did like bad, but I can't think of any specifically, but there's a lot that I've seen that are just like really basic. Like I guess I hope that when I'm a graphic designer I can make some more interesting designs. A lot of the designs that there are now are really cool, but I don't know. Mr. Nelson?
Yeah, so I know that you had mentioned that I think in 8th grade you did a project where you created another shirt using a different company. Are you happier with the results of the company that you decided to go with for your senior project?
Mr. Nelson asked if I'm happier with the company that I chose for my senior project versus the company that I did in 8th grade. I would say definitely. I mean, the shirt fabric is like really soft and nice, and I have not washed the clothing yet, but it seems like pretty durable. And I like the quality of the shirt I did in 8th grade was okay, but like I said, it kind of was like cracking and stuff, so I didn't really wear it much.
Thank you very much, Veronica. up here and connect with it. Take a look at the VNS school store. There's a special spot that says 2024 senior apparel if you want to check out Veronica's items. Also, don't forget, students, that now would be a great time to go ahead and write your reflection about Veronica's presentation, and then get ready for any event night stuff that you need to complete. Thank you for listening.